Hello to everyone, and welcome to Greenville Rotary. This year in Rotary, the Greenville Rotary Club is focusing on three areas: networking, service, and fun. So as part of our networking opportunities, we have these great meetings. We're awfully glad that you are here, and we are glad to have all our members, but we're especially glad to have our guest with us. So if you are a guest with us, if you'd please let us know in the chat room, and also there'll be some information of whom you can contact if you're interested in learning more about Rotary. So we're glad to have you all. Welcome, and we're going to start off today's meeting with the invocation and pledge by Jeff Bullitt.
Thank you, Jane. Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to come together as an organization intent on making a better place in our community and beyond. We pray that you will continue to bless this group and guide us in a direction that will provide the greatest benefit to all we serve. During these times of uncertainty, we put our trust in you to provide us the wisdom, the strength, and tools necessary to fulfill our mission. We pray for those facing ailments, loneliness, and depression. We pray for those charged with protecting our safety and security, both locally and around the world. Pray for those charged with educating our youth, those ensuring that there's food available to consumers, and others that yearn for a time that we can put these last few months behind us and look forward to a brighter future. We ask these things in his name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeff. So I mentioned earlier about this club is, our club is interested in really looking at opportunities in networking, service, and fun. As far as networking goes, we have a new initiative called Networking at Noon. August the 20th at noon, obviously, is a great opportunity for you to join us, and it will let you grow your networking circle. You'll have the opportunity to tell us a little bit more about your business and organization, and you'll have the opportunity to learn from other people about their businesses and organizations. And I'm pretty sure that you'll walk away with at least one thing you learned that you can apply to your business or organization to make it more productive and a better all around. So that's networking at noon. And then of course, our next Rotary meeting will have, our speaker will be Mike Sablon, who is the artistic director of the Warehouse Theater. So that'll be very interesting to learn how our cultural organizations are doing these days and how they're moving forward. So those are our networking opportunities. Our service opportunity, which is always the heart of Rotary, August the 29th from 8 to 10 at the Rotary Park on North Main Street. We'll bring our work gloves, and we'll be out there garden gloves, and we'll be cleaning up the park, which is really a lot of fun. So I hope you'll be able to join us for that. So fun. This coming Monday night at 5 o'clock, we have Health and Happiness, which is an opportunity for all members of the Greenville Rotary Clubs to get together, say hello to old friends and meet new friends, and just have a little time to socialize. So that's our fun event for the month. And we hope that all our members and our guests are invited to come, but we especially encourage our members to think about this time as maybe the perfect opportunity for someone to join our Rotary Club. So we ask you to bring them and have them come to Discover Rotary. There's going to be one on August the 18th at 5:30 in the evening, and the next one will be before our next meeting at 11. All these events you can register for on DACDB, so we hope to see you at one or all of them. Thank you very much, and Connie?
There, okay. I have tried to share my screen, if that works with everybody. And President Jane Dyer has asked us to highlight the Rotary Foundation about once a month. So we'll be providing some context and a series of short videos that we hope are going to be able to do two things. And one is to help every one of us better understand the purpose and the scope and the impact of the Rotary Foundation around the world and also in our community. And then the other thing is to just inspire our determination as individuals and as a club to further the foundation's work. So the vision of the Rotary Foundation really is very simple. That's the model, do good in the world. But of course, the question is how to do that strategically and efficiently and effectively and consistently and sustainably. So what the Rotary Foundation did was to figure out that how they wanted to identify and address the greatest humanitarian needs that they saw in the world. And therefore, they identified 6 specific areas of focus, and many of you are already familiar with those. And so those include promoting peace, fighting disease, providing clean water and sanitation and hygiene, and saving mothers and children, and then also supporting education and literacy, and then growing the local economies. So the funding for these efforts comes from every Rotarian member. So all of us are supporting what it is that they do. And our contributions then turn into global and into district grants, which address one or more of those focus areas. So the impact of those grants can be far-reaching, such as wiping out the last vestiges of polio in places like Pakistan and Afghanistan. But it can also be critically important and closer to home by supplying grants that allow us, our Rotary Club specifically, to improve education for the teachers and the students and the families at Alexander Elementary. So that's what all of you have enabled to happen. So if you would like to support the foundation even more than you're doing, you can Google Rotary Foundation and get to that site. You can go to the website that is listed here, but not today. I found out that the website is down for maintenance until tomorrow morning. So you'll just have to wait till tomorrow to make the contribution that I know that you want to make. And I'm going to leave you with a short video, because pictures are certainly worth 1,000 words and probably more than my words here. But they'll allow you to have a big picture impact, I think, of what you're doing as a Rotarian. And I hope that you're just going to be able to take pride in your choice to be a Rotarian and to make the world a better place through your service and also through your support of the foundation. So thanks very much. And here's the video.
Thank you, Connie. I think that Connie in that video showed me more about the Rotary Foundation and what it does, and educated me and encouraged me, like many of you, to continue or start contributing to the foundation for the Paul Harris Foundation. Thank you so much, Connie. That was magnificent. Today is a special day for our Rotary Club. We get to introduce our newest Service Above Self Scholar. Each year we have a wonderful committee who has the very, very difficult choice of analyzing many different applicants to be selected as our Service Above Self Scholar. The winner of this scholarship will receive $5,000 a year for a total of $20,000 toward their education. They have to maintain a 3.0. They have to do 100 hours of community service for every year they're in school. And then they come and update the members, which many of you have heard over the past meetings about the great work that they've been doing while they're going to college. So this is one of the great, great things that we do within our club. I would like to recognize the committee that makes this very difficult choice every year because the applicants are so amazing. Dee Kivett and Judith Prince are co-chairs. Bert Strange, Grady Patterson, Matt Kottner, Walker Smith, and Lisa Minnick. They do a great job, but were it not for Rob Rhodes, who is the Director of School Counseling, this program would not be possible. Rob is the person that goes to the schools, lets them know what the requirements are for the applicants. He encourages the teachers and staff to look for the perfect applicants. And so Rob is the one that makes this happen for us. And we're lucky to have Rob with us at the meeting today. And thank you, Rob, for all the work you do. Lisa, who is the mentor of our newest scholar, will tell us a little bit more about the program and the process and introduce our new scholar.
Thanks, Jane. Our committee certainly did not have an easy job this year with all the excellent students that applied. We each individually reviewed the applications, which included their grades, a personal essay, references, and their finances. Then we selected 4 students that we interviewed via Zoom. Unfortunately, we weren't able to meet them in person during the interviews as we've done in the past. However, all the students did a wonderful job, and it made the decision very, very difficult. But today, we are very excited to award this year's scholarship to Janice Bonaparte. Janice comes to us with glowing references, a 4.0 GPA from Greenville Senior High, excellent SAT scores. She's going to be a freshman in the Honors College at the College of Charleston, which will start online in late August and hopefully begin in-person classes mid to late September. I would like to share a quote from her essay to give you an insight into this wonderful young woman. She said, "Community service should never feel like an obligation. Making a difference in my community and in the world is refreshing, eye-opening, rewarding. In order for society to thrive as a whole, we have to possess the willingness to uplift, encourage, and lend a helping hand." I've enjoyed getting to know her the last few months, and I'm looking forward to the next 4 years, knowing she's going to represent Rotary in an exemplary manner. Please join me in welcoming Janice as the newest Service Above Self Scholar.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to say thank you to the Rotary Club Committee for selecting me as this year's recipient for the Service Above Self Scholarship. It is an honor to be a part of such a prestigious organization working to create a positive change in the world. I am grateful knowing that as I begin a new journey in life, I will have support and guidance from those who see great potential in me. I am aware of what will be required of me from the Rotary Club and its emphasis on service. As a Girl Scout for 13 years, I was taught the importance of community service at a very early age. As I grew, I realized it is never about the hours or the requirements, but rather helping one another overcome varying hardships in life. During my last project as a Girl Scout, which was the completion of my Gold Award, I chose to help families at the Ronald McDonald House. A personal experience fueled my passion to want to help in any way possible. When I was in 6th grade, my brother lost his battle with cancer. And it was this experience that allowed me to connect with the Ronald McDonald families on a heartfelt level. My family and I had an amazing support system, and it was my wish to provide support to others that will be appreciated and remembered as being genuine. For the next 3 years, the College of Charleston will be where I spend the majority of my time. Due to hard work, persistence, and never-ending support throughout high school, I have earned enough credits to classify as a sophomore, although going in as a freshman. When I set goals for myself, I make it a mission to accomplish them. I am proud of all that I've accomplished thus far, but most importantly, I am appreciative of the help I've received along the way, and I am excited that I now have the Rotary Club to help me move forward. When I begin in-person classes at the College of Charleston, I plan to get involved in the community early on. Not only am I an honor student, but a leadership fellow and a member of the Entrepreneurship Living Learning community as well. Those selected for the Leadership Fellow Society or the Entrepreneurship Cohort are held to an even higher standard than an average honor student, and I am partaking in both. I also want to conduct research and study abroad during my undergraduate years. Overall, I aspire to become a pediatric neurosurgeon, continue to make a change in society through the medical field. I understand that it would take hard work and determination to be successful, but I am willing to put in the necessary work to complete 3 years of undergraduate school, 4 years of medical school, and all 7 years of residency. Thank you all once again for deciding to be a part of the journey I have chosen. I cannot wait to begin this new chapter in my life. Thank you.
Janice, that was so inspiring to all of us who have been Rotarians for years. We thank the committee for making this tough choice, and we are very inspired by you, and we really look forward to supporting you and following you through your next years at the College of Charleston. Today, one of our fun things we get to do is recognize and introduce our new members. So I'm going to say a little bit about each of our new members and then give them the opportunity to say a quick hello to everybody. Start with Thomas Takayama. Thomas is the Dean of the School of the Arts and Sciences at Greenville Tech. He lives here in Greenville, and he recently moved here from Orlando. He's been in higher education for years. He's been involved in community service for years. So joining our Rotary Club was the right fit for Thomas. His sponsor is Bert Strange and all the other people who work at Greenville Tech who are some of our great Rotarians. So Thomas, we'd love to have you say a quick hello to everybody.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. And I just want to say I'm very happy to be here, very happy to be a part of Rotary now. I've been in the Greenville area now for just a little over a year, really enjoying my time here, really enjoying my time in the community. The opportunity to work with great people over at Greenville Tech for the last year has also been such a wonderful experience for me. And like Jane had mentioned earlier, I've really been involved in a lot of community things throughout my entire career, and just looking forward to further opportunities here with Greenville Rotary, and looking forward to meeting all of you.
Thank you. We're glad to have you. Our other new member, one of our others, is Lauren Payne. She is the director of the Malone Center for Career Engagement at Furman University. Malone is the love of her life is her lovely dog Kona, and Malone started hearing about Rotary early as her dad was a Rotarian, so she did lots of Rotarian things as a child. She's looking forward to volunteering and meeting new people in the Greenville community through Rotary. Her sponsor is Ramona Farrell. So if you want to say a quick hello, Lauren.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. As Jane shared, my father was a Rotarian, still is a Rotarian in Asheville, and has been really involved in the organization since I was a kid. So I'm very excited to be here. I'm really looking forward to getting to know all of you in person once we can do that, and looking forward to getting involved in lots of committees here. So look forward to meeting you all soon.
Thank you, Lauren. Another new member is Greg Baylog. He is the CEO of the Blue Ridge Council of our Boy Scouts. He's a single father of 2 boys, 16 and 11, who I kind of guess are probably Boy Scouts. He joined Rotary to support the service Rotary provides to the upstate, to South Carolina and beyond. His sponsors are Scott and Philip Kilgore. And if you would like to say hello to us for us, Greg.
All right. And hello, and just got my video going. I've been having some internet issues today and kicked out of multiple Zoom meetings. But yeah, I'm from the upstate of South Carolina. Worked with the various Boy Scout councils for about 20 years. As far out as Dallas, Texas. Most recently moved from the Charlotte area, and got an opportunity to come back home to the upstate. So I'm excited to be a part of the scouting program in the upstate as well as the Rotary. Thank you.
Great, good to have you, Greg. And the next new member is Carson Fox. He is the owner of Clearwater Investing. They buy houses and offer them to people who are looking for those houses. He's an only child. He grew up in Columbia and has moved up to Greenville, graduated from the Citadel in 2018. And after visiting other organizations, he felt like the place that could live up to his personal values of duty, integrity, development, and ownership was the Greenville Rotary Club. He spends his time trying to help people through buying and selling the houses. So, of course, being a member of Rotary was an easy fit for him. He's looking forward to helping not only helping people in our community, but the opportunity to work with Rotarians and make new friendships and probably lifelong friendships. So, Carson, if you'd like to say a quick hello.
Absolutely, guys. So just blessed and thankful for the opportunity, to be a part of such a wonderful, organization. And yeah, just moving up here, just 2.5 years ago, I've met a lot of people so far, but I know there's a lot more wonderful people like you guys that I'll get that opportunity with. I've kind of been in and out of the organization. Like I said on our introductory call, have met a few of y'all at a couple meetings, but just can't wait to be able to get to that whenever these meetings start back, and look for ways to serve you guys, as well as even more organizations that you guys serve every single day. So thank you guys so much.
Glad to have you. We're glad to have all our new members and welcome you. And we've got lots of great opportunities in our club, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Ryan, you got anything for us today?
Yes, I do. I am proud to deliver the member news today, which is sponsored by Amy Randall Photography. Amy Randall Photography specializes in commercial photography with a focus on people and places. Amy is the premier Greenville photographer for professional branding and content. You need a new headshot? How about images for your website or traditional advertising? Candid images of real people in your business instead of generic stock photos? Contact Amy for a free consultation. Amy's staying safe and wearing a mask when a 6-foot distance can't be maintained. You can even see her work on the cover of the July Greenville Business Magazine, which includes an image of Mike Sablone, who we mentioned earlier is going to be our guest speaker on August 25th. You can check out Amy's work right there on the cover of the Greenville Business Magazine. And here's the best part. Rotarians and families can save 20% on photo sessions booked in August. Check out Amy's work at amyrandallphotography.com. That was our free sponsorship advertisement offered by the Member News here at the Rotary Club of Greenville. More good news for Teresa Miller, recently named Rotarian of the Year by immediate past president Scott Powell. Teresa's been awarded a Fearless Leader Scholarship and will be participating in an 8-week mentoring program this summer, facilitated by our fellow Rotarian, Kathy McAfee. The program is called The Fearless Leader, Get Your Business and Team Back on Track. If you're interested in learning more about this leadership development program, go to fearlessleader.me. I can't imagine any of us are having trouble getting our businesses and our team back on track after 5 months here of working from our home offices. I think that's a great opportunity for us to take advantage of what Kathy has to offer. We've had 3 Rotarians named at GSA Business Report's 40 Under 40 Awards. Congratulations to Yulita Austin, president of USNS. Yulita has also recently been named co-chair for the Women's Business Center Advisory Committee through Community Works. Congratulations also goes to Chris Manley, executive director and co-founder of Rebuild Upstate, another winner for the 40 Under 40. Rebuild Upstate is a nonprofit focused on preserving homes to help tackle the affordable housing crisis by helping longtime upstate residents remain in the homes they already own. And I don't know how this happened, but Ryan Thackeray, Associate Director of Philanthropy for the Nature Conservancy, also named the 40 under 40. I paid for my award. I don't know. I think Chris and Yulita probably earned theirs, but that's neither here nor there. But all three of us honored to represent our Rotary Club, 3 folks on the 40 under 40. There's going to be a virtual event, of course, broadcasted on the GSA Business Reports YouTube channel on Thursday, August 27th, starting at noon. You can register for that event online. These 40 under 40 awards were initiated to recognize success and community involvement of 40 professionals under the age of 40, making their mark on the upstate from a mix of industry, professional, and community sectors. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm about as bored as an Amish electrician. You know, most states have banned groups larger than 5, so if you're a family of 6, you're all about to find out who's the least favorite. Happy hour starting earlier and earlier. If this keeps up, Ron Demone says he's going to start pouring wine in his cereal. Today's weather, in case you guys were wondering, is room temperature. And I'll tell you what, after a few days of not going out, I saw someone I knew walking outside by the sidewalk. I immediately ran to the window and started yelling to them. Now I understand what it's like to be a dog. That's your member news for today. Pass it off now to Walt Phillips. Walt?
It gives me great pleasure today to introduce Steve Hall to you. That's because I actually hired Steve at the very beginning of his career 30 years ago. That's when I owned Phillips International Executive Search. That became Find Great People International, or FGP, after I sold it and retired 18 years ago. Steve is now Vice President of Business Development and a Senior Talent Consultant for FGP. As such, he oversees the growth of their executive search business, their professional staffing, their human resources counseling, their outplacement and career transition services. And as a senior talent consultant, he works with clients across industries to assess, develop, and promote growth in individuals throughout each organization. He's a 30-year veteran of the executive search industry and a certified personnel consultant, which is a CPC. He's a frequent speaker on recruitment and organizational leadership. And as the longest tenured member of FGP, Steve has played a vital role in the management of what has become one of the fastest growing recruitment and staffing firms in South Carolina. Steve began his recruiting career in information technology in 1990, right after receiving his BS degree in marketing management from BJU. He became a senior executive consultant for 12 years. Then his focus was primarily on information technology recruiting, in which he was a great help in growing that part of the business within banking, manufacturing, grocery, retail, warehousing, and distribution industries. Then for a period of 5 years, from around 2002, he managed FBG's executive search business, growing the revenues up 500%. Since then, Steve has been in business development, recently has been engaged in developing new and existing relationships globally for FGP's core areas of emphasis, which is accounting and finance, healthcare, manufacturing and engineering, nonprofit, and technology. Steve's a graduate of Leadership Greenville, Leadership South Carolina, Leadership Greer. In 2016, Governor Haley appointed him to Palmetto Pride Board of Commissioners and the Advisory Council for South Carolina Consumer Affairs. He's also been an active member of Upstate South Carolina Alliance, Central South Carolina Alliance, and other community organizations, including Greenville Tech Foundations Board, the European American Chamber of Commerce, the Prisma Health Haywood Campus Business Advisory Council, the Global Competitiveness Council, the Water of Life, River Sea Singers, and then, if he's not too tired, FCA Golf of Greenville. Steve, we welcome you.
Thank you, Walter. It's kind of fascinating to be introduced by the guy that hired me 30-something years ago. So thank you for doing that. And good to see all of you. I was struck by the fact that Jeff Bullock's head is being eaten by a tiger. I don't know if you can see him. And occasionally Amy Randall's cat makes an appearance. So this is an auspicious group to be speaking to today. I'm not sure. I think, Kathy, I'm going to turn it over to you maybe.
Okay, well, welcome. So glad to have Steve here. We've chosen a timely and important topic, which is called People, Productivity, and the Pandemic. We want to make this an informal session, so Steve will give some opening observations and remarks. And because we want it to be conversational, if you will pop your questions or comments in the chat box, he will either address them as he goes, or we'll have a more of a facilitated Q&A at the end of his formal remarks. So although we want to be informal in the session, right, Steve? All things work-related, past, present, and future trends of working. Take it away, Steve.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of get us started by saying the stock market is up significantly this morning, and nobody really knows why. We're up 286 points. We've crested the 28,000 mark. And yet we have more unemployed people than we've had in a long, long time. So it's a pretty bizarre setting. I used to say that I'm just a bobblehead, but frankly, in the last couple of weeks, my head, maybe like yours, has been on a swivel, because every single day I get jerked from one side to the next with new data and new information. And so I can appreciate that we're all trying to figure this out together. I would say this, that this morning I heard, for the first time, I heard a pundit say that the pandemic recession is over, and I about fell to the floor. So I hope he's right. He's the first person I've heard say that. But I would just say in general, the question that I get asked the most is what's going on out there in the recruiting land. And I would tell you that we have been through something that, at least in my lifetime, I have never seen. Under normal recessions, these things they drip and drip and drip, month by month by month. And in this particular case, we all got dripped on in the middle of March. And so it was unprecedented. That's a word that is used so much these days. But my feeling on this is that we have improved ever since the states have started reopening. And there's lots to be hopeful for. And we've seen it in our business, obviously, things have been improving. But with that comes a lot of interesting stressors, whether that be remote work, whether that be safety in the workplace, whether that be unemployment insurance claims. We just got a lot to deal with. So, Kathy, I think I'll pause there and either open it up to you to kick us off with some questions, or I will do my best to look in the chat feature, but I got to tell you, I've gotten so many welcomes from so many friends, I'm having a hard time keeping up with the chat. So, Kathy, I may need your help.
We have our first question from Christine. She has a 24-year-old son that can't figure out what career field to go into. Do you have any suggestions of good career fields to enter right now, or any ways for him to identify his interests and talents?
So I hear from lots of parents. So this is not an unusual question. And that's a tough one, because not knowing who your son is, Christine, and not understanding what his traits are and some of his interests, it's a little difficult to answer that specifically. What I would say is the fields that, at least right now, we see a lot of movement is things certainly in the information technology space. Everything that we're doing is becoming more and more digital. And so there's a need for creative people. There's a need for writing. There's also a tremendous need for the technical component, which some of us are not as gifted at. Strangely enough, the field of accounting, there are a lot of, we call them silver heads. So all of you who are in that category, that means no disrespect. That just means that people have crested a certain station in life and they're looking at retirement. The other area that we see an awful lot of movement is in the nonprofit space. About 2 or 3 years ago, there was a projection that there would be a shortage of 80,000 leaders and senior managers in the nonprofit space. And that's mostly due to retirements. So while right now it's a little hard to figure out the pathway forward, I would say that there's plenty of reason to be hopeful. We are still in a people shortage. I know that's going to sound contrary to what everything you see out there, but the reality is that the millennial generation outpaces all of you in the baby boom generation significantly in terms of just sheer numbers. So the faster the baby boomers are pulling out, we do not have the capacity to make up for all of that loss, at least not right away. So that's an interesting statistic that's just sort of catching people by surprise. The other thing to maybe make it more permanent in your mind is this year, 2020, 50% of the workforce is millennial. That means they're between the age of 22 and about 37, 38. Depending on what data you look at, those numbers of ages sort of vary a little bit. And so in 5 short years, the number is going to grow closer to 70 to 80%. Again, these are projections. But in 10 years, 2030, close to 80, 90% of the workforce is going to be of the millennial generation. So, and then you include the Gen Zs coming in right behind them. So we have some interesting times ahead of us. That's not a reflection on my friends on this call that are of the Gen Z or millennial. But there's a lot of time yet that needs to happen and a lot of growth in their careers that needs to develop.
Steve, we have a question from Chris Manley regarding the work remote situation. Chris says many of his professional businesses have been working mostly remotely since mid-March and likely still for months to come. Do you foresee this affecting our concept of going to the office long term?
So thank you, Chris. Chris is a good guy, good friend. Great question. I will tell you that that's a mixed bag, okay? Frankly, the millennials love it, and that's not a surprise, and I think that's wonderful. You won't be surprised either to know that those of us in the Gen X and the baby boom don't love it, okay? So we just have some generational differences that are taking place right before our very eyes. I just read an article in the Wall Street Journal in the last couple of days, and basically senior leaders and management level folks are saying remote work or work from home as a constant is not sustainable. Now, certainly there are industries where it makes it very, very easy to do. If you don't have to be at a plant, you can use technology, then you can be at home. But there's all kinds of dynamics that are coming into play here. Just a couple thoughts on that, Chris. You've got company cultures that are being eroded. You know, we have a company size of about 70 associates now, and we have what we call a company huddle every 2 weeks. It used to be every week, but that got to be a bit much, so we bumped it to every other week. It's a 30-minute call by our president, and people are invited obviously through Zoom or if they're here in person. But the amount of information and communication that we have to put out, that we want to put out to our team, is an example of trying to preserve what culture we can in these unusual times. So company cultures are being eroded. Secondly, and then Chris, you would appreciate this on the technical side, spontaneous problem solving is not happening. And that's because I don't see my colleague next door or even walking by my office as I am looking out right now and be able to stop and say, hey, Kathy, I need your help on this, or what are your thoughts on this? So that's a problem. Productivity is lagging behind. That's what the numbers are saying. And that's what the leaders of companies are saying. And so we're running into a little bit of that problem. And then something else that I'd alluded to, the millennial career development is slowing down. In other words, we're not hip to hip, we're not face to face. And so therefore the mentoring and the coaching on the job, training on the job, if you will, during the day is just not happening anywhere near to the extent that we're used to. And then two more things, new employee training is suffering. So in our business, part of our business is bringing new talent to our clients. Well, most of those interviews are being done virtually. for the first time in my career, I have never seen anything like it. Never expected that it would happen, but people are being hired without ever being in person for those interviews. But how do you handle the onboarding for the first 90 days? They're not meeting the rest of the company. They might meet them once on a Zoom call, but after that. So even if you're new to an organization, the connectedness that you feel is slipping away pretty quickly. And then last on that, it's just my own personal observation. While I don't have children, I do have 2 dogs, and I'm happy about the equation. So my wife and I are fine, don't worry. But most of what I see in my colleagues is that families are struggling, at least with the school situation. They're struggling to balance work from home, live at home, have personal time at home, have a family at home. And this is 24/7, all under one roof. And most people are just saying something has to give. And that's not how life was intended necessarily. So, Chris, my answer is that I think remote work is definitely here to stay, but I don't think it's actually going to be the new norm for too much longer, at least until we can get some headway on the lowering of the cases of the virus.
Steve, do you foresee people actually celebrating the onset of Monday mornings? We get to go to the office. Yay! Get me out of this house.
So, Kathy,
to the languish.
To be honest, the younger they are, no. The older we are, yes. I've been at my office at this desk ever since the mid-March crisis hit. I've been one of 10 of our team that has come in every single day. So I haven't noticed any difference. What I do notice is I've been looking at the same 4 or 5 gentlemen in my upstairs suite day after day, and I'm really tired of seeing these guys. And so some variety would be helpful. But my sense of it is that most people are ready to get back to some sort of hybrid of work. If you think about this, remote work versus work from home, okay? These are 2 slightly different concepts. Work from home means that on Friday, I don't go into the office, and it's kind of like a treat, you know? Remote work is I'm never going to the office, and I'm always working from home. And so that whole equation just isn't selling quite as much as it once was.
All right, we have 2 additional questions. They're somewhat related, but I want to give them equal play. A question from Terry and Pam Weaver. From what job functions or vertical markets are you seeing new search orders for Find Great People from your company?
Yeah, so great question, Terry and Pam. Good to see you all. We're still seeing opportunities in manufacturing. And let me just kind of clarify, right? There's a difference in our world between the professional search or executive search. Those are mid to higher level roles. And then you have staffing in our company, which is lower level, but professional or white collar roles. And then you have a whole nother sector of our industry, which is light industrial and blue collar. So I will say this on the light industrial side, I have a close relationship with a very large organization based out of Atlanta called Higher Dynamics. They have a branch here in Greenville. I was talking with their VP of business development a couple days ago about this, and their business is just booming. They're struggling to find talent, and that's in that light industrial space, and it's mostly in the e-commerce and logistics side. So anything to do with movement of goods. When you get into accounting and finance, especially even financial services related to anything related to the mortgage industry, I don't know if you heard this morning, but I think it was this morning they said new home sales actually hit a record, which again, you sit here and say, wait a minute, doesn't make sense, but interest rates are so unbelievably low that it makes me want to buy a home even though I don't need a home, right? Because we may never see this again, or at least anytime soon. So you've got financial services sector. Of course, you have lending going on in the subprime market because people maybe aren't making the kind of money, or maybe they don't have the regular employment, and so they might be borrowing money on a short-term basis to cover some expenses. So we see all of that moving. During the PPP crisis, we were actually getting hammered with banks needing help on a short-term basis. The application development and infrastructure side of the IT world, that remains hot, still hot. When I checked this morning, the infrastructure side, basically that's all your hardware and networking and security, all of that within the IT world. We're getting flooded with those calls here in the last couple of days. And then I would say, well, things like school districts, they're calling because they need people to take temperature readings at the front door and things like that. So we just have a whole lot of things going on. Where we have seen the most decline around the country is in the leisure and hospitality space. So anything hotel and restaurant related, accommodations, that sector has just been hit the hardest by far. I had an email from Chris Stone at that Greenville this morning, and he reiterated that that's the same thing here in Greenville County. He said their occupancy rate is hovering at about 45%. Normally it would be at 75%. So they're still trying to climb back. And then of course, the other thing that you hear about, or maybe you know about, and we're finding this true on the professional side in our staffing business, as welcome as the unemployment benefits are, basically if you're making $50,000 and below, it's more advantageous, at least up until last week, to not work from a compensation perspective. It's unfair to say that everyone in that space is lazy. That's not the case. My wife and I had this discussion. She had 2 part-time jobs and loved it, and one of them went away. And so all of a sudden she was making more with unemployment insurance than she was with both part-time jobs. And the other day she said, I don't want to be at home anymore. I want to work. Okay, great. So you just have to be careful that all the data that we're seeing out there is not indicative of what's truly going on. You have to really, really, really scratch down deep to understand the differences between the unemployed number and the insurance claim number. Those do not track the same way. So my wife was not fully unemployed. She was partially unemployed, but she was an applicant for the claim. So these numbers are tough to follow, and you got to be careful not to just see them as one big truth. You have to dive deep.
I think we have time for one more question, unless Jane tells me otherwise, from Sunny Handa. He says, as the unemployment is historically high, are you finding great people, which is kind of the name of your company, Find Great People, to place? And are the companies hiring now, or did the market dry up? Again, somewhat related to Pam and Terry's question, but maybe, I guess it'd be nice to know which companies are hiring and how can we direct people to those opportunities?
So Sunny, good to see you as well. Thank you for that question. At the end of March, nobody was hiring. I mean, it just literally stopped. Something I hadn't seen ever in my career in all these years. But that's because we locked the country down. So about May is when we started seeing things start to reopen as states reopened. The areas, let me back up for just a second. So Sunny, it's difficult to find the talent. And here's a couple of unexpected complications. In our case, our client base is all over the United States. So sometimes the roles that we're working on would actually require somebody to relocate. How many of you are going to relocate to a new city, new state, and not know once you get there what the lockdown measures are going to change to become? So let's just say you've moved from a New York City, which was, in pretty bad shape, and you come to another state that is, let's just call it open, but all of a sudden their cases go up and then they change their plans, and now you're sort of stuck at home again. So there's that dynamic that kind of is taking place. In addition to that, you have people that are somewhat fearful even though they'd like to make a change, they hate to give up a job because they don't know if the company they go to might in a few weeks or a few months have to lay them off again. So there's some dynamics going on here, which is just unusual for us. Regardless, finding great people is always hard because the emphasis is on great. Nobody wants good people anymore. They always want great. That's why we didn't name the company Find Good People, because nobody wants good people. So, Sonny, the problem continues, and we just have to be a lot more intentional in trying to understand what the motivations of the individual would be to make a change and how that aligns with our client mission and purpose and vision.
We have been bonused one more question from President Jane. And that question has been posed by Rotarian Gary Lyons of Avison Young. He asks you, can you speak to the employment situation in healthcare? I know we're seeing a rapid move to telehealth services, but I am most interested in the financial impact of COVID on our healthcare system.
Okay, so Gary, thank you. Wonderful question. We do have a specialization in healthcare. We place executives in hospitals around the country and have been doing that for about 17 years. We definitely felt a slowdown and an impact right around the mid-March timeframe. Only recently, like in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, have we started to see some movement on the hospital side. So that business line for us is primarily acute care hospitals, for-profit as well as not-for-profit, and it's nationwide. And basically what we found was that our client base were so preoccupied with taking care of COVID patients that the executive teams really didn't have anything other than that to focus on. Now that things have, I say this tongue in cheek, have kind of been controlled, let's just say we have a better appreciation for sort of what we're dealing with. As I shared with somebody this morning, the number of cases are definitely going to be rising. That data is going to be clear. But in South Carolina, we only had about 2% fatality as of this morning. So you really, again, you have to dig deep in the numbers to understand it. But from a healthcare perspective, telehealth has definitely increased. I don't see that going away. We are starting to see our hospital clients now asking us for C-suite hires. And so I think that they've kind of gotten their sea legs under them and they have a better feeling of what they're doing. There's still a lot of unknowns, but I don't see any decline in the need for healthcare professionals, no matter what level you're at going forward.
Excellent. All right, I'm just going to pop into the chat Steve's contact details, because some of you may have some questions that occur to you this afternoon, and Steve is our local expert. He's also available on LinkedIn. So send him some love, send him some questions. He's also a fabulous person to have a cup of coffee with. I believe I met you through another Rotarian. It was either the Weavers or it was Ron Demonet. And I'm very grateful for that connection. Thank you, Steve, for sharing your insights with us.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you all for having me today.
Yes, Steve, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said earlier, that one of the purposes of our whole networking process is to make sure that we all learn something that we can take away and apply to our business or an organization or wherever. And you have certainly given us some real great food for thought and some actions we can take moving forward. So thank you for being with us today. I also want to thank Jim Meese and congratulate her. You are, like I said, an inspiration to us all. And I guess we should tell ourselves that if you can do 100 hours of community service while you're going to college, then every Rotarian can jump in there and work on one of the projects we've got going on. So you are an inspiration to us all. I would like to add my congratulations to our 3 40 under 40, and that's Yulita, Chris, and Ryan. What a great group of young people we have in this group. And like I said, they are oftentimes the ones that take the bull by the horns and get stuff done. So we're very proud that you are Rotarians and congratulate you. Next week, next meeting, Mike Sablon, like we said, is going to be our speaker from the Warehouse Theater, which will be a great opportunity for us to learn more about how all our cultural folks are dealing with these things. And I failed to mention earlier that we, every month at our board meeting, we do discuss about when we might get to meet again in person, which is what we all are looking forward to. We just want to make sure that we are safe and follow within the guidelines and the leadership of our great city of Greenville. So I thank you all for coming today. I'd like for us to close with reciting the four-way test. Of the things we think, do, or say, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Bye.